Look at that.
What's
You're a
up,
smart man,
everybody?
Matt.
So, consensus is it was a tough weekend of fishing for everybody. I know you got out this weekend.
Attempted to, yeah. A little breezy, a little cold, slow.
That was out of Shasta?
It was, yeah,
Okay.
out of Cinnamooty.
Sweet.
So it was a little chilly.
Yeah, I know I took a long trip. We made a run down to the Eel River, which was beautiful, very cold, very wet. It was supposed to get 1 inch of rain, and we got like 4. So, man, it was a good time, but it was a little wet and miserable. It's one of those things that I didn't hate it, but it was also, testing you being out there. But we'll start to talk about it. I'll talk about that one first. We drove 3.5 hours to the Eel River. That is a seasonal river, and you have to have some fresh water in there to get those fish moving. And we mistimed it. There was supposed to be rain coming in, and there was, but there was a lot. Driving there, we hit rain, sleet, and snow, and then there was about 4 inches that came into the river. It made it incredibly dirty, and the conditions out there were cold, to say the least. We were covered in water. We were sitting there. There were squalls that would come up, and it would just rain sideways and pelt you in the face with high winds, and then it would be gone. And then the sun would come out, and there was a beautiful rainbow, and then it would turn bad again, and no bites the whole time. 2 boats, 6 guys, nothing going on. So it was beautiful. It was in the Avenue of the Giants out in the Redwoods, so definitely worth a trip. I know that area is supposed to be really nice in the spring and summer. Green emerald water in the Eel River, and it's beautiful. I mean, if you like the forest, if you like the water, go check it out. And then talk about your fishing trip.
Yeah, we got out. Let's see, was it yesterday? Out of Shasta, out of Cinnamooty. It was slow. We 2 of us, me and Justin from the shop. We both got skunked. I feel like literally everything under the sun. But so got out about 8:30, I think it was. So kind of a late start. I marked probably a total of like 3 fish the whole day. Kind of slow. We got some people, Titan 10.5s in stock. Braden, we don't sell Titan 10.5s up here. We do sell the Old Town Sportsman 106 PDL, if you might be interested in something like that. Another 10.5-foot fishing pedal drive kayak.
Mm-hmm.
Great boat. But yeah, back to Shasta. So I threw, Ned rigs, Nego rigs, jigs,
Everything you're
underspins.
supposed to when it's cold.
Anything I could think of that day. Yeah, it didn't really last too long. It was kind of cold. Wind picked up. Didn't really warm up too much. Didn't rain, at least.
That's
so
good.
It stayed dry the whole time. Wasn't too bad. So, yeah.
Sometimes the fish don't bite. That's the nature of the game. When you do have conditions like that, if you're out in it when it's really, really slow, the things that you want to do is, if the water's very clear, downsize and fish incredibly slow. Or you upsize. You can also go the other way, and if you're only going to go, if you're not going to catch a fish, you might as well not catch a big fish. Throw a 10-inch bait, see what happens. But generally, slow down. If you think you're fishing slow enough, fish slower. That's the general consensus. If you're dragging a jig, when you drag and hit something, hold it there, pin it there, wait, and then start to pull it over. It's painfully slow. Days that you could be home, I guess. But if you're addicted enough to be out there, fish incredibly slow. Ned rigs and jigs and Kitex. So you did throw the little swim baits?
I did, yeah. So the underspin, the Pulse underspin with the 2.8 on it. And
did you try dragging that on the bottom? Not swimming it, just dragging it.
I let it sink quite a bit. Yeah, I fish slow.
Okay. So one of the things you could do, especially with the cool baits and some of the other ones, depending on how the blade is connected, is drag them. When you drag a bait like a 2.8 on an underspin, you have that blade that's hitting the rocks and it's still flashing, but it's more under the bait so that it's kind of shimmying down here and clicking and clacking, and your swim bait's still kicking, but you're on bottom, you're moving it incredibly slow. It's not a swimming action. They don't have to chase it. They're really just going to come and barely pick it up. Because I know you said you did have a short strike on the 2.8. That's a tiny bait for them not to get it. So when they're not getting that, I mean, you really got to slow down. And again, some days they just don't bite. So we did have a couple other guys go out.
Cheapest pedal drive that is stable. Well, there again, the old Town Sportsman 106. I mean, it's a great little boat. They're what, 20?
How big are you?
$24.99 now.
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, fairly.
They're very stable. I know I'm 170 and 5'10", and I think it's incredibly easy to stand up and fish out of. You shouldn't have any problems. But James Robertson got out and he went to Scott's Flat Reservoir. He said it was $22 to launch a kayak, which is a little much, but it looked gorgeous. He said they do have camping there. He said 20-foot visibility and the lake's completely full. So as far as I'm aware, I think he said it was by Nevada City, and it's definitely cold. The water temperature was 43. They threw everything under the sun. I know he likes the Carolina rig, and that's a great go-to when you're not getting bit on anything, and they still weren't getting bit. So he said there's grass in the water. They threw jigs, they threw everything and just couldn't get bit. Again, some days fish just don't bite. That's the consensus of this weekend. I don't have a good show for you. Just the fish weren't cooperating. James Croco, so he was one of the few who got bit. So he was out at Salt Springs Valley Reservoir. The water temperature was 45 to 47, which has cooled off from the last few times we were out. Even at Whiskeytown and at Shasta, it was closer to 50. It would start at that 47 and creep up to 50 in the daytime. And your water temperature makes a difference. But he said the visibility wasn't great. It was about 3 foot or maybe less in some spots. And he caught a few fish on a jig, but he was fishing it slow, very slow, and in 20 feet plus of water. So when you have this cold weather, you have a thermocline where the deeper water is going to be warmer than the surface water. Whiskeytown recently, that's at 20 feet. Sometimes if you have your graph tuned right, you can actually see the thermocline on your graph. If you find a pile of fish and they all seem to be at some depth, that's your thermocline. So generally 20 foot's a good place to look. Sometimes it's deeper, sometimes it's not. That's going to turn over as we get into spring so that the warmer water is going to be the surface water. But as of right now, it's deeper, so that's where the warmer water is going to be, and that's where the fish are hanging out. So they got off the water early that day too because they had hail and wind. So the weather conditions that we had were not great anywhere, and it made the fishing tough, and it made the fish not want to eat.
It was sunny up here.
Oh, well,
yeah,
lucky.
Just cold, windy.
But the fish turn off. They was like, why waste my energy today when it's going to be nicer tomorrow? And then one of our other guys, Michael Joe, he got out to Trinidad and he was crabbing. And so he had 2 days at Trinidad trying not to puke. They had a western swell that was coming in and it was mixing with the other swells, making the water really, really choppy. He's saying you got to cull through 10 crabs to get your one keeper. And if you do persevere and stay out there, through trying to not be seasick, I get seasick. I will puke out there. I couldn't do it. But if you can get your limited crab out there right now. But it was, again, the weather oriented made it hard to crab and it made it hard to not puke. So that's it, really. That's what I got for you. I know
you guys have anybody else get out fishing?
Yeah, I know Jeff Goodwin, guide service on Shasta. He's still catching trout. He says the conditions are getting better. They had a short day, and I think they landed 8 fish, but they're in a boat trolling. So the fish are there. What are you willing to put up with to catch them? That's kind of the consensus for this. But we also
tough weekend.
Yeah, it was a tough weekend. Hoping the next week again we have mid-60s, so the fishing is going to get a lot better again for a short time. So get out while you can, get out while the water's warming up, and then just shop news. Don't forget to check out our fishing meetups, which are posted on our website under the calendar. We're getting more and more people. Some of our buddies from up here, they do bass fly fishing. If that's something that interests you, they're going to be coming out to a few of our meetups as well. If you want, a different flavor to your fishing. We've also got a bunch of stuff on sale as far as kayaks. So come into the shop and check it out. You got to see it to believe it. And then we've got, fishing gear. We got guys picking up HUDs and glide baits today, getting ready to go to Clear Lake and put a hurting on them. It's about to be spring. Spring is coming. Go ahead, hand me those pink guys. So some of you might think, why would you throw that? It is a bubblegum pink worm. Believe it or not, they do catch fish. It's a spring technique. It's a weightless worm when the fish get really, really shallow. When you have a stain in the water, you could throw this just about anywhere. It won't get snagged. It's visible in that dirty water, and you could fish it very slow. It's got a really good shimmy, and then you pop it really hard. It darts all over the place. And like a Senko, it shimmies on the way down, but because it's longer and skinnier, it's got a really snaky, slow shimmy. But pink, you don't believe me, but pink, and the other color is methylate, which is like a translucent sherbet. So whether you believe me or not, pick up a pack over at Headwaters and go throw them. we'll show you some fish that you can catch on these weird worms. Fish, we give them too much credit sometimes and not enough on other occasions. So, got anything else for it?
I don't think so.
Yeah, sorry for the short one
kind of a
tonight.
slow weekend.
Fishing was tough. Next weekend we'll get on them. I'll be out there for 2 days, and we'll let you know what's going on. So until next time, stay fishing, my friends.
Thanks
Come
for checking
see
in,
us.
guys.
Yeah.